So the first thing we're going to look at today is we look at the bottom, we work from bottom up when we look at movement. And one of the major things that can become an issue when you're squatting is tight ankles. So first and foremost, you obviously want to address whether or not that is something that you struggle with. And as an example, I'm just going to demonstrate what it might look like when you squat if you do have tight ankles. As you can see, the chest drops down, and it's almost impossible for me to sit upwards. I'm going to fall backwards, okay? So if I was to have stiffer ankles, that's generally what it starts to look like when you squat. So we're going to look at using this ball in a couple of ways to start releasing the soft tissue around the structure, so the feet, the shins and the calves, to see if we can improve that range of motion at the ankle joint. Now this isn't necessarily the only fix, but it is certainly the place that most people would want to start. So the first thing you're going to do is put the ball on the floor. We're going to work on the plantar fascia, which is the tendon and the fascia underneath the foot. And you're going to spend 2 to 3 minutes on each foot, rolling the ball nice, slowly and firmly up and down the centre of the foot. So all the way from the heel down to the toes. You can also work into the arch of your foot, the outside of your foot, and then you want to place your heel on the floor and work side to side up towards the base of your toe joints. So I've sped this up, but as I said, you want 2 to 3 minutes on one side and then the same on the other leg. What you'll also find if you are tighter through that ankle joint, as you bring the heel to the floor, you will struggle with this bending of the knee, so this knee flexion with ankle dorsiflexion. This is something that you need to try and improve. So we're putting this area of your the fascia and the tendon under the foot on a stretch up through the Achilles, and we're really putting that area through a stretch whilst we're restricting the tissue underneath the foot. So you're trying to improve that knee over toe position. And again, you want to spend a good bit of time on this, so minimum 30 seconds in that position there. So one of the main areas we're going to look at when we're looking at ankle range of motion is the calf muscle. That's down the back of the leg here. If this muscle is tight, it can pull on the Achilles, which can pull under the foot, and it can reduce this range here, which is important for squatting. So we're going to put the ball in behind the knee. If possible, we're going to sit on this back leg. If that's too uncomfortable, you can prop yourself up on your foot. And we're going to hug that knee into our chest. So it's quite an uncomfortable pressure, just bear with it. So you're never going to go to pain when you work with a mobility ball, but it will be uncomfortable. So you want to hug the knee to the chest, ideally trying to get the knee over the toes. You're going to spend about 20 to 30 seconds before you then move the ball down the leg and then repeat. So you're going to be pressing further and further over the ankle the lower the ball gets down the leg. You might find, if you've particularly stiff ankles or reduced range in the knee, that you struggle to move the ball lower down the leg with the foot still in contact with the floor. So go as low as you can, keeping the heel grounded. And if the heel then needs to come off to get that knee over toe position, then that's okay. But the goal would be to keep the heel down and the knee forward of the toes. You can push this knee out at the same time to work on that range of motion in the ankle, which is slightly more important when we squat. We don't necessarily squat with that straight line. As you've seen, a good squat mechanics, generally the knee is slightly outside the angle of the midfoot. So you can work on that position at the same time, continuing the ball all the way down the Achilles. Once you're at the bottom, you want to get as much weight, as much pressure going through that Achilles as you can. Again, if heel can stay down, brilliant. If it doesn't, not the end of the world right now. We're working on getting that pressure through the tendon here. So total about 2 or 3 minutes through this leg. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. What we're then going to do is work the opposite side of the shin, the calf. So we're looking at the shin muscle here. If this is tight, so especially if you do a lot of walking, if you do a lot of sitting, this muscle here maybe becomes shorter or tighter. We're going to start with the ball at the top of the muscle on the knee, so just outside below the knee. You're going to immediately put the knee to the floor so the foot is in the air. You're going to then start to move the ankle up and down, and you'll feel that pressure up in the muscle here. You're going to work your way down the leg, spending roughly 2 minutes from top to bottom. And as you see, as you get lower down the leg, that foot's going to start to hit the floor. As long as we're getting a little bit of range through the ankle joint, even if it's a wiggle, you are still working on actively releasing that tibialis anterior, that muscle down the shin there. Okay, so if you run, you skip, you sit down, you jump, any of those things can cause tightness and shortness of this muscle here, which can reduce range of motion at the ankle. So once you've worked your way down the shin, you'll work into the smaller muscles at the bottom of the ankle. where you want to try and sit back. The knee should hopefully lift off the floor, and then you'll use your hand to start moving the ball down right into that joint, which can be quite uncomfortable, especially if you've had any previous injuries. So just gently through, moving and pressing as you go. And a nice thing to do once you've worked the entire leg is to check to see if there's a difference. And there should be, whether you can feel it or see it, an improved range of lifting that leg from the floor. So we still want to improve ankle range this way just as much as we do this way. So we've worked the calf and we've worked into the shin. We've also worked underneath the foot, so we've covered that whole area of soft tissue which could be impacting range of motion at the joint here.